Hi, folks. Welcome to another live event. And yes, if you are wondering, we did change the set a little bit. So we have this desk, which is now going to be permanent or semi permanent living right in here. And welcome. We're going to be spending the next hour answering questions. We have a lot of people that I recognize from here. We have Robert Snyder, Texas Arch Drone Guy. We have Thor Inspired, Recovery One Drone. People that are here week after week. Thank you for doing that. We have four props. We have Z. Ooh, that's a tough one. Oh, Zell UAS. Johnny Drone Flyers. What's up, Johnny? We have what else do we have? Somebody says talk about product placement. Man, that did not take long. Less than a minute for somebody to see a beautiful water bottle right here. I'll talk more about that in a minute. I see we have a lot of questions already popping up. Run Rushing, we have Victor, Red Drones, Mark Sherman. Okay. Somebody says okay. That's their name. Angel Figueroa. I apologize. We have Next Chapter, Robin Gina, still here. Bob Casey. Anyways, lots of people, folks. Thank you for being here. As always, every Monday, the same time, we are here talking about drones, talking about answering any of your questions. So before we get started, we have I always read the comments that you guys leave on all the videos. Quite frankly, on all the YouTube channel, I still read every single comment. I answer most of them. If it's a smartass answer, it's probably from me. We had somebody that mentioned we talked about a lot of municipalities and states and whatever that are trying to do new drone rules that are just not acceptable. The latest one on Friday was about St. Louis, and somebody said I need to do a version of news update for Government Gone Wild. So I think his name was David. I don't remember his full handle, but he mentioned that, and I agree actually. So we were talking before the live here with the team, and there is actually 4 different states right now that have proposed laws. Somebody just emailed me one this afternoon. We have Utah. That's the latest one. I haven't read the content of it, but apparently it's no bueno. We have Missouri. We have Oklahoma. We have St. Louis. That's 4 of them now that are on the docket to create dumb rules for drones. The one in St. Louis, I can tell you, is getting a lot of opposition from Vic. I haven't seen Vic in the comments, but Vic has been going back and forth with the alderwoman in St. Louis that has proposed this law. I don't think she's being straightforward with us about what she is trying to do. So there will be more on that, I can guarantee you. We're going to give her a little bit of time to respond. But as far as I'm concerned right now, her answers are just not up to par. One of you, who's one of our students, is getting involved with this as well. So I might ask for your help. So if you're in St. Louis, I might need your help. I actually know who you are because I have zip codes from the people that get our courses. So, but if you haven't purchased a course from us and you're watching here and you're from St. Louis and you want to get involved, email myself or Vic, and then we'll get you in touch with the right people. But okay, let's get started with the questions because I see a ton of them already in the chat, which is awesome. We have Robert that says he's been on the internet since the early 90s, getting disillusioned with Facebook users that can't ask themselves, did I misinterpret the meaning of a post? Is there a way to keep up with Pilot Institute without being a Facebook user? The answer is yes, soon. So Robert, come back in a few weeks with that same question, and I should have an answer for you. That's something that we've been thinking of doing. Yes, absolutely. Zell UAS says can fly drone that weight below 250 gram in controlled airspace. I have trust certificate. I will fly with Goggle FPV. Can I please explain to me? Yes, you can fly a drone of any weight in controlled airspace as long as you get approval from the FAA using Lance. So there's an app for that. There's several apps, but we recommend Air Aware, which is the app that we've been working on developing with Aloft. If you have trust already, that's good, but you need to get airspace approval called Lance approval. And then if you're using FPV goggles, technically you need to have a visual observer with you, so make sure that you have that as well. Mark Sherman says, how far horizontally should you stay away from an emergency response vehicle at or an emergency scene? I would say there's not a distance per se, as far as it takes to not interfere with them. That's the easiest answer that I can give you in this case. My DJI Avata fell into fresh stream water yesterday. Yeah, that sucks. Sorry to hear. However, the battery had fallen out prior to entering the water. I have dried it thoroughly and get replacement battery. Will it be okay? Fresh water is a lot better for sure. Make sure that you wait as long as you can to make it as dry as you can before you turn it on. But the fact that you make sure there's just no corrosion in there. Look up online. There are ways to use certain liquids to clean it all up. I don't remember what liquid it is, but there's something that you can put it in and it will actually remove all the moisture. The fact that the battery was on there will help, but it may not be enough. You might have corrosion that starts to creep onto some of the parts. So you need to do a thorough cleaning of it. But if you go look online, you'll find some people that have done this before. Victor says, when doing a drone job, should I let my city, town know, or and also the police station to be on the safe side? I would not personally. I think it's just asking for more trouble. If you know that you're flying legally, then I would just go ahead and fly and then discuss whoever is coming. If you end up talking to the city, they might end up saying, well, you can't do that because they don't know, but they just want to say no. So I just wouldn't even poke the bear. I would just go and fly. As far as keeping the drone in line of sight, DJI mini drone are very difficult to see at low altitude. Is this acceptable? Well, I mean, line of sight is line of sight. So whether it's acceptable or not is up to you if you want to get a bigger drone to, fly further. But it is what it is. Yes, they are more difficult to see for sure. What is the reason to have a landing pad other than a place to land or take off? Good question, Rob and Gina. The landing pad is appropriate in certain cases. So, for example, here in Arizona, we live in very dry land, lots of sand, very little grass. And so if we want to take off and land from our back area here behind the studio, it's all dirt, and not dirt, it's all sandy, rocky area. So lots of dust. So that provides us a place to take off and land that's not very dusty, which is really good. The other thing I would say is if you have a drone that's kind of height restricted when it's on its legs, then you could use a landing pad to not be in the grass. Some areas, like in Florida, where you have that really thick grass and kind of tall grass, you'd be able to take off and land from there using a landing pad. So those are two things that I can think of that where you would want to use a landing pad. If you're in a parking lot taking off from a concrete pad or something, probably don't need a landing pad, but in most cases just to keep like dirt, dust off of the landing area. Can you Chuck is asking, can you put some kind of skin or small gray mini gray mini, like the Mini 2 SE, something like a neon color? Yeah, you can absolutely put a skin on your drone to make it a different color. Sorry, the way it was written was confusing. Yes, you can put a skin on your drone, not a problem there. Just make sure that if you're putting that on a small drone, that it doesn't take you over the 250 gram limit if you're flying recreationally, because otherwise it would put you into requirement for registration, which would also put you in requirement for remote ID. So just keep that in mind. Michael lies. Hope not. Michael says, any idea when we'll see more compliant drone on the DOC list? Is that remote ID or is that OOP, operation over people? As far as OOP, personally, I don't think we're going to see any more drones on the list anytime soon, just because I don't think that's something that the manufacturers have an appetite for. I might be wrong, but we'll see. As far as remote ID, I'm not sure. It depends on what the manufacturers have submitted, but I don't have an in on that. What is a good free mapping software to use for beginners? What is it? OCD? Web what? Web ODS? Web ODM, Web ODM. Yeah, so free software. Sorry, I don't do mapping on a regular basis. So Web ODM is one of the free software that a lot of people use. Fair warning, it is actually pretty complex to use. So there's a lot of options in there. So you're gonna have to tinker quite a bit. You know, people always ask us. They say, "Well, what's the difference between a free software and those very expensive one?" Well, the very expensive ones are gonna allow you to make maps more easily for a lot quicker, and so eventually you end up saving time and by default saving money. Or you can go with a free software and then spend more time to tinker to get your maps to look the right way. So it all depends on the funds that you have available, on whether or not you really gonna get this done in grand scale, in which case having a paid software might be totally worth it. So let's see. Ron Rushing is saying, question is about distances for settings using the preset patterns. Are these adjustable? The preset patterns. What's the preset pattern? I try some and they seem to fly quite far from the point. Oh, I think I know what he's talking about. I think you're talking about the preset things that yeah, I think you're talking about those smart modes, whatever you call them on the drone, where you can do like orbit or whatever it is. The droney, yeah. So yes, most of these should be adjustable, the distance, the height at which you fly, the distance at which you fly. But most of these, even the highest distance, should still be within a visual line of sight. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Where can I trade in my drone? I don't think DJI has a trading program, if I remember correctly. So you'd have to find someone who wants to do that, you know, in the wild, I may say. It's probably a better chance to just sell it and then buy another one, quite frankly. But yeah. Can video taken before getting my Part 107 be used in YouTube? So the rule for this is all about, the short answer is yes. So as long as you shot those videos before you get Part 107 for recreational purposes with the intent to not fly for anything else than commercial purposes, then yes, you should be good. Do you offer bulk discount on classes for helping ignorant aldermen who otherwise want to make terrible policy decisions? Yeah, anyone who wants to make horrible decision for drones in the government, I will give them the course for free. Actually, that's a 100% discount. Aldermen, and alderwomen, both of them included. If you're watching from St. Louis, this is a hint for you. The course is free. Take it. We'll help you. And Trust is always free as well. It takes about 30 minutes. So, but yes, we will do that. Just to verify, 30 minutes before and after sunset, you don't need the night flight training, but at night you do. The night flight training thing is not really a thing anymore, because that rule kind of applied to people that hadn't done the recurrent training when they first made the changes more than 2 years ago. Since then, you at least should have taken an initial exam that had night training in it, or you should have done the recurrent training that had night training in it as well. So in this case, you would meet the requirement anyway. So I wouldn't worry about the night training requirement. If you're current and you did your certificate initially in the last 2 years, or if you did the currency within 2 years, which you're supposed to do, then you're good to go with night training stuff. So you can fly and not worry about the night training. When do you need to have strobe lights on? Sunset to sunrise. That's the 30 minutes after was for the definition of night. But yes, dusk and all that, you still need to have those lights on. Talk about product placement. Right here. This is our new bottle. We just got a limited number of those today. And we're trying to determine if we want to sell those. And so if you think you might be interested, let us know. and then we might figure out a way to make those available for sale. They're actually really, really nice. As you can tell, this is actually a really big bottle. It screws on, but not only that, the top, it's all metal, so perfect for drinking orange juice. That's a joke. Uh, orange juice in a metal bottle tastes horrible. Uh, is it 249 grams? Let's find out. No, these do not fly really well. They don't need remote ID though. But the top here, look at that. I'm such a good Vanna White. It opens up like this and then it screws in. So you could be like running marathons with these and they would never come off. Or riding your new ATV, and it's got a beautiful Pilot Institute logo right here on the side. So yeah, we just got those today. Really nice, super nice bottle. Not lightweight, but definitely very nice. Yeah, they were 499 grams. We weighted them earlier. It's like the weight of 2 minis. And you can put all your stickers on here, all your Pilot Institute stickers. Doesn't need registration. It's perfect. Somebody says, okay. Next. Reyes says, hello everyone. What are the drone manufacturers doing with regards to meeting the criteria for category 1 and 2? The answer is they're doing absolutely nothing. Most manufacturers have disregarded the categories. I think I've explained this before, but it's mostly because people in the United States, because these rules only apply to the United States. So manufacturers in the US are just not that interested in making something that would only apply to the US. So that's part of the reason why I think it's not going to, we're not going to get any bite-in from anyone until this regulation is changed, if it's ever changed. That's up to Congress at this stage. Any tips on taking a sub 250 gram drone along on a cruise or international travel? Sneeze coming up. Thank you. So some cruise companies do not allow for drones to be carried or to be taken on a cruise at all. So they'll have like they'll check your baggage, and if they see it, they'll just confiscate it until you're done. So I would say talk to the cruise company first to see what their policy is, because they might not even let you on board with it. And if they do, then make sure that wherever you go, that you know the rules for that specific country. A cruise still means that you're flying, some places, I think I've read that I'm not a cruise person, so I've only gone on a handful of cruises, but some people said that they will let you fly them, but only when you get to a destination. You cannot fly them from the ship. So yeah, lots of different rules. Sorry. Do the older drones like the AEE AP9 communicate with the government? I don't know what an AEE AP9 is, but if you're talking about remote ID as far as communicating with the government, I don't think this would have remote ID, but there's a place where you can check, which is the DOC website. You'll ever look into drone racing? Curious on a professional take on making drones a sport. Drone racing, there's something called the DRL, the Drone Racing League, and very popular. We did go to a race in Vegas 2 years ago. Really impressive. It was really cool to see. So yeah, there's another league as well, but I don't remember the name of it now. I'm bad with name in general, but yeah, there's already two pretty well-known circuits out there for drone racing. So it's pretty cool. Look it up. Sergio says, I was a recreational drone pilot and registered my drone, an Air 2. Now I have my Part 107. Do I have to re-register my drone that it now broadcasts remote ID? Which number do I display on my drone? So yes, you would need to re-register your drone technically under Part 107 and then put that number on the drone. Now I'm going to say this as a caveat. If you have, if you only ever registered one drone, then you technically don't need to re-register it under Part 107. But if you get a second drone that you fly recreationally, then you would need to. So it's a little convoluted and confusing, but the safe answer is yes, just re-registered. It's $5 for 3 years. Not a big deal. Joe Campbell says, do you think a newer model of Avata will be coming anytime soon? I don't have any insider information, but I'm gonna say that it's probably close to being the next thing um, that we're gonna get is a Nevada or a new FPV. That would be my guess from DJI, but like I said, no insider information.
Do you think it will be smaller and lighter or bigger?
Smaller and lighter.
Or bigger?
I think if they're smart, they're going to make it smaller and they're going to make it category one with prop guards. But then again, it goes back to my discussion earlier of do drone manufacturers really care about category one because it only applies in the US? And DJI sells drones all over the world. So I don't know.
Is it time for water break?
It is time for a water break.
Water break time.
But also a chocolate break. You guys are so funny. All right. If Dave Bayer was here, he would say, union break is over. Oh, we have a lot of questions. Damn. I told Jason, I said, give me all the questions today. He gave me all the questions. All right, let's keep going. It's Sprint now. Best insurance provider for liability coverage. Look like Thimble no longer provides drone insurance. I don't think I have a preferred insurance provider. There was one that we used to recommend, but I don't recommend them anymore because they did some shitty things to us. I'm not going to say who they are, but I don't know. I don't think I have a preferred carrier at the moment. Sky Curtain says, can the Oxlight on the Mini 4 be seen from 3 statute miles? The answer is no. If not, any tip for people wanting to fly at night with the M4P? Can add a strobe to stay sub 250. I would say the Mini 4 Pro is remote ID compliant. Just put a light on it, register it. It's $5 valid for 3 years. You already have remote ID compliance. So there's no real reason not to register the drone other than to save $5. I would just say register and fly it with a strobe light on top. But the light on it is not compliant. Interesting in mapping, how long before we get an SDK for the Mini 4 Pro? I can guarantee you it's never going to happen. DJI has stopped providing the SDK for non-enterprise drones, so the Mini 4 Pro will not get an SDK. DK for drones, flying, and fog, the same as cloud. Yes, fog is a cloud. Fog is a cloud on the ground. And I know some people at the FAA disagreed with me on that one, but I am correct. It is straight from the FAA documentation. Did I miss that when I studied and took my Part 107 exam? So yes. Now, for the distance purposes, 107.51, distance from clouds, and visibility requirement, fog absolutely is a cloud. Greg, I literally just got back from taking my 107, doing your course, get a 98. Holy smokes, 98. That's awesome. Congrats. That's remind me to build. 98. You know what my dad would say? Why not 100? But 98 is awesome. 98, that's one question missed.
Your next question comes from an employee.
My next question comes from an employee. No, it doesn't. Jason put it in there.
How did he put it?
Banana Nimble 365.
Direct chat from me on Slack.
Oh, okay. If you've direct Slack. I don't understand, but anyway, if you've broken no FAA laws during your flight, and law enforcement has no proof as such from Karens, do you still have to provide your license upon request, or must law enforcement have reason to believe you did? Ooh. If you've broken no FAA law during your flight and law enforcement has no proof, you know what? I don't know how to answer this because I'm not enough of a lawyer for this. So I know this is gonna sound stupid, but and I know some people don't like that approach, but if I get approached by law enforcement, typically I'm not gonna argue with them, and I'm just gonna have a discussion about drones. And if they want to see my FAA paperwork, then so be it. But I know a lot of people don't work that way, so I would say do a little bit more research as to what your rights are as far as law enforcement asking for it, and the reason why they can ask for it. But in the FARs, it does say that law enforcement is allowed to ask for your flight credentials. I don't think they have a section that talks about whether they need to have a reason or not. So, like I said, not a lawyer on that one. Tough one. Do strobe lights during the day or night count as VLOS, or do you have to be able to see the drone itself? Technically, no, you cannot use lights to augment your vision. So that's the answer here. Difference between 107 and Part 108. Part 108 does not exist. No such thing at the moment. There were rumors that eventually there would be a Part 108, but I think everybody jumped on the bandwagon a little too early on that one. No Part 108 in the plans at the moment. And if there is, it was talking about a BVLOS type of certificate that you might be able to get, but this was not from the FAA. This was from a group that gave recommendations to the FAA. So I think we're far away from that. Can I fly a DJI Mini 2 without being certified? There's no real, the only certification that you can get is Part 107 certification, and that it's not based on weight. It's based on the type of flying that you do. So you could fly your Mini 2 without being certified under Part 107. You would still need to follow the rules of 49 USC 44809. If that's your case, Roberto, I would say head out to do your trust certificate, trust.pilotinstitute.com. It's free. It's going to give you more information about how to do that safely. Do you think DJI will come out with a Nevada 2? That's the second time somebody's asking about that. I think there's a nice market for fly-through video work. Yeah, I sure hope so. I have no doubt that DJI will not stop at making FPV drones anytime soon, including the Avata and the FPV drone. So I'm sure we will see, probably this year, it's been a while now, a new type of either Avata or FPV or both. Like I said, I don't have any internal data on that. And if I did, actually wouldn't be talking about it. Does DJI Care Refresh cover for all accidents no matter what, or will they try to void the warranty? I think there's like several instances. Well, of course, you need to have the drone in itself to send back for DJI Care Refresh. But I think unless you open up the drone beforehand to void the warranty, any kind of accident is covered in there. But you need to have the drone to bring it back. Can you use strobe lights to push VLOS? No, you cannot. You cannot. It's not really part of the aircraft. That's not really the problem. The FAA says that visual line of sight has to be done without aided vision, and that would be considered aided vision. Remember, the strobe lights are not designed for you, the pilot. They're designed to make your aircraft more visible to other people, including man aircraft pilots that are flying. That's why you need to put that light on top of your drone to be more visible from helicopter pilots and airplane pilots, especially if you fly in Daytona. If you fly your drone under 44809, that's recreational rules, not under Part 107, could you put your video on social media? Yes. The FAA doesn't really... It's all about the intent of the flight. So the question is, did you film that video with the intent of putting it on social media for revenue purposes, in which case it would be, Part 107, or did you intend to just film that for recreational purposes, share it with your family and friends, in which case it would be 44809. So it depends on the intent of the flight. Still a lot of questions. I feel like I'm going as fast as the list is building up. DJI Mini 4 has remote ID but is below 249. Does it need to be registered because it has remote ID? No. The other way is true though. If you register it, then you need remote ID, but not if you have remote ID, do you need... Actually, you know what? Stand by 1 second. Because I think... No. I'm going to say no, but I'm going to have to go back because I think we had a discussion about this with the FAA last week. Well, I'll have to get back to you on that one. I think something had changed or something... Well, anyways. We'll talk about that again. I need to do some research. I have a Mini 4 Pro with the plus battery, but I was wondering if I fly it with the small battery, if it still puts out remote ID. Yes, any Mini 3 and Mini 4 Pro, these do put out remote ID regardless of the battery that you have on there. Ordered my stickers from you guys a week ago. Was wondering when you'll send them out. We do the stickers several times a week. So the problem that we found is over time, the postal service, U.S. Postal Service, USPS, is not really always doing a great job at delivering those. And so if you don't get them within a week, let us know and then we'll do a new batch. But yeah, sometimes that happens. DJI spends years between drone revision. Why do you think DJI quickly released an update between the 3 and the 4? That's a good question. When there were rumors about the Mini 4, I was like, no way. They just came up with the 3, and it's a great platform. They would never do another one so quickly, and they did. So I don't know. I have no idea why. It's not like there was a ton of competition. There was almost zero competition anymore with DJI. So could a Nevada have active track? Probably. I don't see why not. I signed up today for Part 107 study program. Do I need to buy the study guide that is given to us at the test? You don't have to. It's not really a study guide. It's a testing supplement. That's what it's called. We have links in the course to buy the paper version, but quite frankly, it's optional. You'll get one of those on paper during the actual exam. That's why we tell people buy it, and then you can test with it just to get more comfortable. It's absolutely not required. With a DJI Avata, if using a screen instead of goggles, should be category 2. No. I'm going to stop even reading the rest. It has prop guards, but it's over 250 grams. To be a category 2, it would have to be approved by the FAA, which means DJI would have to submit the paperwork, and they have not. So it is not a category 2, and it's not a category 1 because it's over 250 grams. Category 1 is the only category that can be self-categorized without FAA approval, but you need to be sub 250. So nope, the Avata is not category 2. As a matter of fact, there's no category 2, 0 category 2 drones out there. Birmingham Flag Store says, I'm working on your real estate photography course. Awesome. Excellent course, but a lot of the editing is for people with existing knowledge of Premiere Pro. Do you have a class just for photo editing? In the photo course, we don't use Premiere. Premiere is for videography. For the photo section, I see what the problem is. Yeah, we have those in the photography course. We have a photography specific course, but we don't have any of that information in the real estate course. Let me see what we can do about this. I don't think in the real estate course we have tutorials on photography specifically. Oh, they did Lightroom. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, we have a section on Lightroom for in the photography course, in the real estate course. So you should be able to see that. Vic does a section, and then I do a section on Lightroom in the actual photography course. But yeah, you should be able to see it in there. If you don't, email me and we'll figure that out for you offline. What are the rules, if any, in international waters? Really, no rules. I would say there's a lot of aircraft that could be flying at low altitude and very fast in international waters, so be careful with that. How do you avoid getting your drone attacked by birds? That's a tough one. I read or heard that climbing fast is something that the birds have a hard time doing. So if you ever see birds trying to attack you, just climb up fast, and they usually are not able to keep up. Better than going down, because they're able to attack down very quickly. I heard your favorite chocolate is Hershey's. Tom. Tom is one of our employees, and he's a funny guy. Or he thinks he's funny. And Tom is not here right now, so he's in spirit, yeah. Well, looks like one or more of your wonderful employee left you a present behind you. Well, I don't want to know what present he left. On my bookshelf. On the bookshelf? Is it visible? Let me see. So they put poop back here on the shelf. No, I don't touch it. I don't want it. I don't want to see it. It is not chocolate. It's Hershey's. And I sorry if I offend anyone, but yeah, kind of a chocolate snob here, unfortunately. So Tom was eating Hershey's the other day, and I gave him a hard time. No, he bought it because he likes it. That's the worst part. And then I gave him real chocolate, like stuff like this, and he just thought it was like licking the, what did he say? Licking the rim of a tire truck or something. I said, "How do you know what that tastes like?" So, anyways, I currently do commercial real estate using my Mini 3 Pro. Oh, wait, I missed one. What is the quietest recreational drone? I think it's either the Mini 3 Pro or the Mini 4 Pro from our testing. I think the Mini, it's either the 3 or the 4. I think the 3 was the quietest. It's one of those two. Jason will remember. He's got that kind of memory. I don't. I currently do commercial real estate using the Mini 3 Pro, but looking to expand offered services. I'm stuck between the Mavic 3 Enterprise and the Mavic 3 Thermal. I also live in a state that has a lot of agriculture. So Mavic 3 Enterprise, great for mapping. Mavic 3 Thermal, great for thermal, but also okay for mapping. Why? Because the Mavic 3 Enterprise has a global shutter, the 3 Thermal does not. So it all depends on really what you want to do. Obviously, the Thermal is going to have a new kind of sensor on it in addition to the RGB sensor. But if you're doing more mapping, I would say Enterprise. If you're going to do more just regular photography, videography, and want to do thermal as well, then the Thermal is for you to do. So, did I hear correctly that DJI still provides the SDK for the Mavic 3 Enterprise drone? Yes. How about the Air 3? So all the Enterprise drones have SDK. Everything else does not. So the Mavic 3 and 3 Pro and whatever 3 Classic do not have the SDK. Mavic 3 Enterprise has the SDK. Air Series, Mini Series do not have the SDK. Woo, I'm seeing the bottom of the page. Yay. Do you have tours? My wife and I plan to be in Arizona. Absolutely. Send me an email and then we can schedule something. We're here most days. We love giving tours of the facility. So stop by and say hi. Which is the best group advocating for legal changes to FAA regulation? How do we support them? That's a great question. My answer would be the DSPA, Drone Service Provider Alliance, dspalliance.org. And the other one is the DAA, which is the Drone Advocacy Alliance, daa.org as well. DSPA, we sponsor DSPA every month. We've been since the first month. They've been in action. Vic Moss and Kenji Sugahara are leading the charge for this group. They do a ton of things. I work with Vic. I text Vic probably every single day. Whether Vic is putting information about waivers, he's an FAA safety drone pro. He talks to local municipalities like the one right now we're fighting with, and he's fighting more than I am, but he's after the St. Louis thing, and he's relentless, and he's going to do whatever is good for drone service providers. So yeah, DSPA by all means, go, and they have a donation thing, and you can donate every month, or they have one of the plan that you can do every month. 100% worth it. It helps them even possibly get more people hired in the future. The more people donate, they don't take a salary. They use that money to fly to DC if they need to go talk to the FAA and things like that. They don't take a salary, and then if they could hire somebody else to do the work and help them, then it's more help to fight FAA regulation and other things as well. So yeah, DSPA 100%. What light do you recommend? Looking for a lightweight. Okay. The Arc 5 is definitely our favorite light, and I'm guessing you're talking about strobe light on top. So yeah, the Arc 5 would be the favorite. Debonair drones. Is it safe to leave your DJI battery on the charger? I would say no. If not, how do emergency agencies do it? They charge batteries every day to get ready for the next flight. So, but don't leave them on a charger. They don't discharge within the day. So they take depending on the drone. In the past, you used to be able to set them to a different day, but yeah, don't leave them on the charger. Sorry. Is before you fly sunsetting or leaving on? Before you fly service is expanding. Yes. So before you fly is changing the way they do things. The program in itself is getting a redo. The app in itself is going to change as we know it. As far as I'm concerned, the current app is going away, which is why we did the app with Aloft. The service in itself is going to change. The FAA is making more announcements. I saw the note today from the FAA. They haven't really said much more, but from the internal information that we got, the service is, the program is changing. Sun and Fun starts Tuesday, April 9, following our 4th annual South Florida drone meetup. Will you be there? As I plan on attending on Tuesday prior to flying back to Texas. That's going to be a tough one. The problem is that Sun and Fun is a whole week. It's we basically leave on Sunday, and then we come back the following Sunday. And so our travel is usually on that weekend. In order to set up everything, it starts on Tuesday, but we have to set up everything on that Monday, which means we need to get there on Sunday. And it's a long trip because we're coming from Arizona all the way to Florida. So usually that weekend is shot. And I know the South Florida drone meetup is always during that time, either right before or right after. And I can never attend because the show goes until Sunday. Last year it was during that Saturday and Sunday. And that's the busiest day of Sun and Fun, so I couldn't do it. And then also I have to be careful because it means my wife is at home with 3 kids for a whole week. So if I add another 1 or 2 days before that, it makes it even worse. So difficult for me to do that back to back. We are sponsoring that event, the annual South Florida Drone Meetup. So we'll be providing lanyards and everything and helping them financially. But I'm unfortunately not going to be able to attend just because of travel. Tough one. I will be at Sun and Fun on that Tuesday, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Plan on attending that Tuesday prior to flying back to Texas. So yeah, the question is yes, we will be there on Tuesday. That's the first day of the show. And yeah, we'll be ready with the tent right next to, not far from the FAA booth. Next, what is the best camera angle I should set when I mount my Action 2 camera on the DJI FPV drone? Should the drone camera angle be double that of the mounted Action 2? Not an FPV expert, but from watching Don here in our office do it enough, he sets his camera angle, the same angle as he sets is FPV camera, so that you can film at the same angle as what you're seeing. So when you see the shot, it's the way that it is being framed. So that would be my recommendation. And keep in mind also, to set that angle. So I know on the FPV, you can change the angle on the Avata. Avata, is that what he said? No, DJI FPV. On the DJI FPV, you can change the angle. So set that and then put your camera at the same angle next to it, unless you know how to fly differently. That's my recommendation. And I think Don is in the chat, Decon FPV, so he's going to be able to answer, if he hasn't already, answered that question. In California, there's a rule saying that you can't fly over a state highway. Can this be broken? Maybe not over a freeway, but perhaps a smaller, quiet highway, since this isn't, yeah. Well, you know what? If California has a rule saying you cannot fly over a highway, that's an illegal rule. They cannot control airspace. So they can prevent you from taking off and landing from a specific area. They cannot prevent you from flying in the airspace. So that would be illegal. I will refrain from any further comments. But yeah, I would say no. If you could actually send me the link to that regulation, I don't think I've ever heard that. So I'd love to see that and see what it says. As far as the FAA is concerned, if the highway is empty and there's no one on it, you can do whatever you want. The FAA doesn't want you flying over people in moving vehicles. I want to make my own drone blades. Ooh, what is the best material for lowest noise? Ooh, that is a big enterprise. Carbon fiber probably is going to be the best. I think I saw polycarbonate, says Don. Yeah, injection molding. Yeah, that's a tough one. Props are tough to make because they have to be balanced properly. So, oh, we are getting to the bottom of this. Okay, almost right on time too. Can the DJI Thermal do everything the DJI Mavic 3 Pro do at a business standpoint? Should someone buy both or just the thermal drone? The Mavic 3 Pro has 3 lenses. The thermal only has 2. So you have a zoom and a wider lens. On the 3 Pro, you have 3. So you can almost do everything the same. The Pro is going to have more options for video formats. It's more of a videography, photography drone than the enterprise drone is. So it depends on what you do. If you do inspections, like roof inspections or power line inspections or whatever, I would 100% get the thermal, because you need the thermal. You don't really need to be fancy with, creativity. So if it's very industrial, if you want, then that's going to be the perfect drone for that. Not that you can't do anything. You can still do creative stuff using the enterprise drone. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just not going to have as many options to modify settings. Is there a reasonable transition altitude over cliffs? There shouldn't be any manned aircraft 20 feet next to a cliff. No, probably not 20 feet. Now be careful. There's a lot of helicopters, and at least in the areas where we are, like Sedona, for example, that will fly close to the cliff and at low altitude. So you still need to be aware of that. 20 feet, probably not. There's no real rules for that. So Old Dead Eye says a dog. Okay. A dog? Oh yeah. Oh, Penny? Yeah. Out of context. Yeah, we do have a dog. That's Penny, the office dog. She's laying down right now, lazing out on a Monday afternoon. Penny's the office dog. She's always pretty chill until she hears somebody in the hallway outside, and then she let us know. And she had a long weekend with the kids at home that drained her. So she comes back on Monday and she's usually exhausted. Does not the wording of sustained flight help in crossing highways? Can you touch base again on sustained versus non-sustained flight? Sustained flights, there is language in the FAA regulation about sustained versus non-sustained flights, but it all applies to categorized drones. So regardless of what I say next, you need to have a categorized drone before you can use sustained versus non-sustained flights. A lot of people get confused by saying, oh, you can now fly over the highway, and as long as it's transitional from point A to point B, if you have a categorized drone. Okay, a lot of people forget that last bit, including some of our folks at customer service. If you're in our Facebook group, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very confusing event, and so we had one of our customer service person make that mistake in an email, and then it was shared with other people saying that. Speaking of Avata, a lot of people are talking about the Avata. There were a lot of issues lately that were we saw a bunch of posts of people, including one this weekend, saying that he lost control of the Avata. The Avata just basically applied full throttle, flew up to 5,000 feet. And I 100% believe what he said. Flew to like 5,000 feet before it finally hit the point where it came back down. On the way up, it started to climb, and there's nothing they could do to bring it down. On the way up, the battery went from like 30-some%, maybe even more, down to 0%. And said landing, and all it did was kept flying and flying and climbing and climbing and climbing. And upon doing some research, it looks like there were 5 cases of the same issue. So it seems like possibly the Avada has an issue with that. We don't really know exactly what that issue may be. If it's a stuck controller, if it's whatever it is, it's no bueno, because the last thing that I would want is my drone to be just taking off, flying to 5,000 feet, and then eventually just slowly coming back down. Heck of footage that person got. They got the drone back, no problem. But yeah, so hopefully DJI fixes it. I doubt DJI will have any communique about this. They usually don't do that. They'll just push an update and then hope that nobody else talks about it. But yeah, that was weird. And the fact that there were 5 confirmed cases of the same thing. So we took a screenshot of those Facebook groups post, and we're gonna go and review a little bit of that footage. Somebody says, I wonder if the home point was set to latitude 0, longitude 0. Could be because they took off early, but that doesn't change the altitude though. Yeah, I don't know. When getting started in mapping and surveying, is it better to get a P4PV2 to begin with, or save up and get an enterprise level Mavic? P4PV2, great platform, absolutely amazing drone, but starting to get difficult to find batteries. So I would think about that. If it's something you're going to invest in, getting that drone, finding extra batteries might be difficult, and batteries that are still, healthy over time. So tough one. Mavic, yeah, enterprise level Mavic, probably a good investment that's going to last for a long time, with batteries that are available pretty much everywhere at the moment, and has remote ID as well. Thanks for, I take it back, P4PV2 has remote ID, or yeah, DJI pretends it does until they fix the issue. Thanks for doing what you guys do. Thank you. Sadly, let my Part 107 expire. Not a problem. But I'm struggling to find a correct path to get it renewed. I'm sure somebody left a comment in there. If not, I'm going to put it right here. You just need to do the recurrent training on the FAA website, ALC 677. I have a shortcut for that. Here it is. Your certificate doesn't expire, your currency expires. So you don't lose your certificate. It's good forever. As long as you stay current, you can utilize the privilege of your certificate. So just do that course. It's free. It's on the FAA website. It's going to take about 2 hours to do if you do it properly, and then you'll be good to go for 2 more years. So just remember to do it every 2 years, every 24 calendar months. Jacob says, let's see, what does the solid gray line around an airport on sectional chart mean? Solid gray line. There's one around the airport, Huntington, West Virginia. Solid gray line. Solid gray line is likely a... I might have to look it up for that specific airport. Without a screenshot, it's hard to tell. It could be one of these obscure area around a flight service station. And then now I have a brain fart. I don't remember what it's called. Something that's not related to drone pilots that I actually used to teach in the course that I took out. So I don't know. I would have to see a screenshot. So Jacob, if you have my email, just shoot that to me and I'll take a look. It could also be solid gray line. No, that's really all I can think. The only gray marking that I can think of is that. And yeah, that doesn't apply to drone pilot. It's a Class Delta airport that has a flight service station on the field. If takeoff and landing occur in a LANS authorized area, can you pass through a non-LANS area? Yep, absolutely, not a problem. Other way around though, you cannot. Can I fly the Air 3 recreationally and under Part 107 without the same FCC registration number? FAA registration number. The FCC doesn't have registration numbers. Can I fly the Air 3 recreationally and under Part 107? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let's just put it that way. Yes, you can. What's the exact weight of the Mini 4? Depends on what battery you're using. The smaller battery is 249 grams. The other battery, I don't remember, 280 some grams maybe. It's heavier. Charles says 107.45. 107.45. 5. It's confusing. Stand by. River Metro Parks, Ohio says this is the regulation they use under UAS and above their controlled area. Even if you take off on private property, I asked the FAA as prevention back to 107.45. I don't know what 107.45 is. Let me check. Operation in prohibited or restricted area. That is not what it means. Prohibited and restricted areas are FAA prohibited and restricted areas. So, no, they cannot control airspace even under 107.45. If you have emails, Charles, please send them to me at my email address, which is easy to guess, greg@pilotinstitute.com. And then I'll take a look and see if you have conversation. I'm happy to chime in and let them know. But no, they cannot use that. That's not what prohibited and restricted area means. Prohibited and restricted areas are defined terms by the FAA, and they're put in place by the FAA over certain areas. If you look over Washington, D.C., for example, there are prohibited area and restricted area. R for restricted, R dash, and then P dash for prohibited areas, but it's not what they think it is. And by the way, you can send them to 14 CFR 1-1, which is where all these terms are defined. And if it's not in 1-1, it's in 14 CFR Part 73. 14 CFR Part 73, which is airspace, special use airspace definition. I'm good. Yeah, 71 for regular airspace, 73 for... So 14 CFR Part 73 will have definition of special use airspace and exactly what they apply. And I'm looking at it right now. Yep. Subpart B, restricted area. Subpart C, prohibited area. Look at that. 14 CFR Part 73. Oh, actually, since I'm here, I'll put a link down in the description so you can see it. All right, we're getting close. 2 more minutes. We're going to stop taking questions. I have a DJI FPV in my fleet and have been updated and claimed to be remote ID compliant. However, when I'm flying, it doesn't appear on Skybrowse. Not the right software. I want to use it for Part 107, but can't figure out how. So the DJI FPV is only compliant with remote ID if you plug in your phone, and as long as your phone has GPS, it will act as the GPS receiver for your location, which makes it remote ID compliant. So you need to use a phone connected to your goggles while you fly, which is a pain in the butt. So if you don't see it, and Skybrowse, by the way, is a mapping software. I think you're thinking of something else, but Skybrowse is not going to show you if a drone is compliant. But yeah, you should be able to plug it in and then be compliant that way. Bob Casey says, do you think it's a good idea for DJI to remove some geofencing? Oh, that's a tough one. I can make friends and enemies by answering that question. Let's put it this way. The way that I look at geofencing, I think for most everyone, there should be geofencing, except for professionals that can prove they understand airspace. I was telling this to Vic, I think, last week. I think because for about a minute, he texted me and he said, did DJI remove geofencing in the US? Because there was a rumor that it had happened, and there was a burp in their system that made geofencing disabled for a few minutes. And then he came back and he said, oh, never mind, it came back. But I told him, I believe that if there was a test that people could take on airspace, and if they prove that they understand airspace, then they should be able to remove geofencing. But until then, you're stuck with geofencing. So I don't think it's an easy thing to put in place, but it is what it is. Oh, yeah, it is. Thank you, Ben, for finding it. The gray thing is a TRSA, Terminal Radar Service Area, which is what I was talking about. So a TRSA is, I don't think, can you put it on the screen, Ethan? What Ben is looking at, or I can do let me do my screen. We'll last a few more minutes here over time. Send it to what? The prompter? No, Pilot? Okay. All right, let me know when you see it. This is the answer to somebody earlier that said, what is the gray area over Wilmington, is that what it is?
Pilot.
North Carolina? Okay.
Huntington.
All
Not
right,
North
let me know
Carolina.
when you see it.
So
This is the answer to somebody earlier that said, what is the gray
it's,
area?
this is the
over,
it's the gray ring right here
Wilmington,
that you see.
is that what it is?
So this is
Pilot,
called a
North
TRSA,
Carolina?
Terminal Radar Service
Huntington.
Area. They're
All right,
pretty
let me know when
rare,
you see
but
it.
so
This is the answer
when
to
there is
somebody
a
earlier that
class
said, what is the
Delta
gray
airport
area?
that
Yeah,
has
this is
over,
it's the
flight
gray
service
ring right here.
station,
Wilmington,
you
is that what
see.
it is?
They
Are
are able
to
to
provide
provide
additional
additional
radar
pretty
service.
rare, but so
This is the answer
when
to
there is
somebody
a
earlier
class
that said, when
Delta
are gray
airport
area?
that
Yeah. What does it mean? It means that they have fancy equipment at that airport that they otherwise wouldn't have. But because there is a flight service station there, they have that fancy equipment, meaning that they can provide additional services, separation services, and that kind of stuff, which is why they call it terminal radar service area, because they have what's called a terminal radar. So for drone pilots, it means absolutely nothing. It doesn't change anything. It's not controlled airspace. It's just an area where you can get more of that. Consider that a Class Delta airport, which is what you see down here, being a Class Delta, even though there's a lot of stuff. But yeah, the dashed blue line right here. But yeah, all that gray stuff, terminal radar, TRSA, Terminal Radar Service Area. Pretty rare, but glad you asked. That's awesome. And it's funny, as soon as I saw the image, TRSA came right back. Must be getting old. Okay, back to the last two questions. Bike Nerd, do you know a good starter drone? Mavic 2, 3, 4. Actually, I think Bike Nerd asked that question last week. I think I said the same thing. Are you testing me to see if I'm consistent? Yeah, I would say that's what it is. It's going to be Mini 2, Mini 3, Mini 4, depending on your budget, but just really good starter drone. All right, last question. I had a local Piper Pilot with a private airstrip flying under 200 feet the other day. If we would have had crashed, who would be at fault? His strip is over 2 miles away and not in line with me. I would have to look at the map and see where you were, but if it's a private airstrip, it is still an airstrip. It still means that the aircraft has to be descending at one point to get below a certain altitude. Airplanes have to be no lower than 500 feet unless they are landing. So it depends. 2 miles away is 2 miles away is pretty far to be at 200 feet above the ground. But, and not to disparage what you're saying, but altitudes are very difficult to judge on the ground. Okay, I've flown with a lot of drone pilots that say, "Oh, that airplane is at this altitude," and in reality, it's really twice as high as they think. I'm not saying that this is the case here, but it could be that they were a little bit higher than you thought they were. 200 feet, you would be able to see the pilot's face at 200 feet. You'd be able to see the pilot's face in the cockpit and definitely read the tail number and all that. If that was the case, and I'm not saying, there are manned aircraft pilots that are irresponsible and will be flying low. So, yep. And anyway, sorry, I was daydreaming here about the answer. To answer the question, if that was the case, if the pilot was proven to be flying illegally lower, then they would definitely have a big fault in the crash. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. I think that's all the questions, or close to it. Whew. We made it. Thank you for watching. We will be doing this. Yeah, we're going to possibly do a Government Gone Wild edition of News Update on Friday, or maybe two videos. I don't know. There's enough to do a whole news update video on just those 4 things. I have to read the details of all of the bills, but it's almost becoming a full-time job, which is painful, to just look at all these proposed bills. And I hate reading that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Otherwise, we will have regular news update for sure on Friday. And then next week, let's see, what's the date? 29. Oh, yeah. Next week, drone again. Now I'm trying to think about our secret project on the 2nd. that's going to be released on the 2nd. So another week and a half, and we will be releasing our secret project on the 2nd of February. That's a Friday. We'll release that on News Update, so be sure to watch. And it's an exciting one. I'm pumped. We've been having a few people testing it with great feedback. We have a few bugs that we're cleaning up, but yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm really pumped about this. And we have a few more projects that are coming up after that as well. So yeah, there's no shortage of cool stuff coming out of Pilot Institute in Q1 of this year. And then I got a lot more planned for Q2. I've been talking to Aloft as well. They're going to be releasing an update to Air Aware pretty soon, making it even better. So yeah, cool stuff. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. We will see you on Friday.